Also, welcome back to the program, Dr. Ford.
It's always good to see you.
Dr. Wayne Ford in the house, Jackie.
Hello, and you brought an incredible guest in the studio today.
Yes.
So let's talk about our guest and an incredible woman we need to honor.
Well, Edna Griffin, and you always told me, Wayne, when you get this show, we want to make this a learning lesson. People can learn from this show. Thank y'all for the opportunity. But I got Miss Griffin's son, Stanley Griffin, and I think that speaks for itself. She was the first hero that I met when I first got here. Her and her husband, his father, took me in, the fast-talking young black guy. They took me in, they respected me and treated me, and I feared her because her power, her presence. I learned so much from the family, and to carry on their legacy, when I was representing Wayne Ford, I did some things on Capitol Hill, and when I became Urban Dreams founder, I did a special day in her honor. She was my first Trailblazer Award winner that I gave about 10, 15 years ago.
Let's learn a little bit about Edna, shall we? Let's take a look at this.
Yes.
On February 8th of this year, Iowa lost a beloved civil rights pioneer. Edna Griffin's protest of discrimination at a Des Moines drugstore in 1948 preceded Rosa Parks' Alabama bus protest by 7 years. And although Edna could have been satisfied with the many honors she received for her early victories, she never lost her courageous determination to fight against injustice. Here is her story as she told it in 1992 at the age of 83. The PBS series The Eyes on the Prize focused on the history of the Southern Black freedom movement in the 1960s. But the 1960s sit-ins and demonstrations at drugstore soda fountains were not the first protests against discrimination in America. In 1947, Edna Griffin moved to Des Moines. College-educated, raised in the Northeast, she was surprised by the status quo. Even though laws against discrimination were in effect, many Iowa eating establishments and hotels ignored these laws. The signs in their windows stated, "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone."
Civil rights did not become a wide concern, even here among black people, I'm sorry to say, until the South began to organize and move, you see. I didn't do anything special. We were very pleased, of course, about that. But we understood that Iowa was, as we called it, getting in out of the rain because the national civil rights law was going to be passed.
And it wasn't until the national civil rights law was passed that Edna remembers a celebration.
We all went back and sat in Katz's and got served. See, we checked it out. And everybody was very happy, even the clerks.
How neat is that?
Unbelievable. And this man with a big smile on his face and maybe a little tear in your eyes saying, "That's my mom."
I tear up every time I see anything about my mother, and since I'm older, I can appreciate what she did, because I wasn't even born when this incident happened, but looking back at all this stuff, I always sit back, what inspired her to do what she did, knowing what time it was, way before the real civil rights movement, and tirelessly fighting for everybody's rights. It was not only about blacks. A lot of people say, well, this is a black-white issue. She was for everybody's rights, because my dad, who was a doctor in Des Moines, Iowa, was one of the first doctors that came in here, had a Hispanic office manager, Mary Campos, and so he delivered her twins and was in the community trying to help out, and actually delivered me when the doctor did not show up, and he did house calls. So we accepted everybody into our family, whites, blacks. It was interesting because there's some testimony from my friends that are going to be at this ceremony that said that there were some people who lived with our family for a semester to be with our family, and they're going to be there talking about what mom and dad meant to them, because they mentored all these people. And something else I did not know, she used to go out in the white community. She'd take black kids out to country communities just so they could interact with each other. And there's someone who wrote a letter to us stating, this has affected my entire life. So her impact was just strong. I mean, and like, I didn't know all these things before we started research. I was too young when it was going on.
But you said her whole background or momentum was education. It's about educating people about the situation so they could move forward in the right way.
Right, and Longfellow School, the students at Longfellow School dedicated the bridge. There's a walking bridge right by the Botanic Garden named dedicated to Edna Griffin. Well,
Really?
they dedicated to her because of her dedication to educational issues. So I am so proud of her, and we keep finding more and more stuff that she did. She didn't talk about it. And then the awards, I said, well, you know, you're getting this award. She goes, I'm not really worried about that. I'm ready to do whatever we need to do. And one of the questions that we want to ask at this ceremony is, if my mother, if Edna Griffin was alive today, what would she be saying and doing? And people who know her would go, oh, they'd go, first of all, they'd go, oh my God. She'd be writing stuff that people would believe in, and going out and picketing and doing stuff, because I'm a little worried. You know, I'm from Iowa. And I was treated, very, very well. I was still the only black kid in the neighborhood where I live, but I was treated very well. And all my friends may be at this thing. I still have very good friends from the neighborhood, but when we first moved in, it wasn't such a reception. But after they got to know us and got to know my mother, even people I knew even their parents came to me and said, you know, your mother was incredible. That's what means the most to me. I mean, so we need to keep everybody together and just realize we all want the same dream.
Because it's amazing that we're still fighting for what your mom fought for so many years ago.
That's what's incredible. That's what that's what scared me as far as, and you don't want to mention affirmative action. Oh my goodness, that's like, nowadays that's a nasty word. Or immigration, you know, the kids that have been incarcerated. That breaks my heart, though. It really does. I mean, and I don't want, you know, this is not a Republican or Democratic issue. It's a human rights issue. Treat people like you want to be treated. That's her saying, that's my saying, and my friends, we all hang out, and there's no difference. We're not looking at skin color. We're looking at, you know, people, we all have this, and it's nice to talk to people from other backgrounds, to know what are they about? We even had an exchange student, Felix. He was from Africa, and I remember this in elementary. He had his clothing on, right? And so we take him over to the elementary school, and these kids were wild. These white, it was all white Perkins Elementary.
Oh, sure, okay.
Wait a minute, back in the 50s.
Okay.
And so Felix shows up with his full African outfit, and these kids are going wild. They're going, wow. And so he's talking very sophisticated. He went to University of Nebraska. You know, he was from there. And so he talked to them, and they always remember this stuff. And that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Get to know people. Everybody wants the same thing, and that's what kind of she preached about all of her life. And so, and that's the kids, that's the legacy she's left me. And I didn't realize how different it was, because I can talk to anyone, you know, anyone, and that's the way everyone should be. Some people feel very comfortable going outside of their community, but do it. Get to sit down and talk to people, get to know, and then you'll know them better, and it should be better for everyone.
It goes back to that education. We just need to know what's going on, and we can be educated if we go out and celebrate your mom and learn more about her if we weren't around the time that she made such an impact here in the central Iowa area like she did for you, Wayne.
Yes, I got President Clinton to give us a letter, and I gave it to the family, and President Clinton acknowledged her. I had her on the phone with Rosa Parks.
Oh my goodness.
Edna's right here.
And I just found out about that one also. I did not know about
See,
this
you learn more and more, yeah.
And Rosa Parks on the phone. Here's what Rosa said. I admire you, because what you did in an all-white state. I had Martin Luther King and a strong black middle class. You did it 7 years before me. I heard Rosa Parks tell his mother that you are more of a legend than me. So so it ain't like Rosa Parks. This is the Edna Griffin story, and we need to get it right. And I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad we're celebrating this.
Now the proclamation day is when?
It was wait a minute. It was the proclamation. They already did it like of the 7th.
No, it's going to be the day of your event.
So they're presenting it on Saturday, but they signed something just a few days ago.
Okay.
Just before.
So it has been signed.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about this event that we want people to come out and enjoy.
Well, yes. Well, I'm just excited. Des Moines Civil Rights, Human Rights Commission has got together, and they're going to bring everybody together, and they're going to have this great event. And
and they have, and I think it may be sold out. They're having a dinner, and they're having the kids. I already tell you, the kids were going to speak, and we're going to have some testimonials from some people. My sister Phyllis, who was the infant that was with mother when they went into CAT, she was like, 16 months old. She's going to be talking a little bit. I'm going to say a few things. I have a PowerPoint that shows her history back from New Hampshire. And talking about she met my dad at Fisk University, and it's just an interesting story. I mean, and I still ask myself, how was she inspired so much to do all this? It took a lot of guts, and the Iowa the Bystander newspaper, which was I think one of the oldest black newspapers, she had a column in there called "Different Strokes for Different Folks." Even when I was she wrote about everybody. Now, even when I was a kid, I was nervous because she called people out, and I'm a kid. I'm going, mother, I'm a little nervous. I'm nervous myself, going, oh my goodness, did you say this?
And we were talking during commercial break that you have students now coming up that are doing research on your mom and continuing to share her message. And we want to encourage others to do their research, learn about this incredible woman if they're not able to make it to the dinner that's coming up on Saturday.
I want to give a shout out to ladies from Decorah, ladies and gentlemen. There's one, but from Decorah, Iowa.
Okay.
Look on the map where Decorah, Iowa is.
Way over there, yeah.
She calls me up and says, we want to do a piece about your mother, and I'm going, wow. But I didn't really know how old this person was.
What?
I figured they're in high school.
Yeah.
They're grown, and then we had another conversation. I said, by the way, how old are you? She says, oh, we're in 8th grade. And I'm going, what? So that's beautiful. That is what my mother is all about. And Iowa is I consider this my state. People were beautiful to me, let me in. There were still some discriminatory type things, but they at least talked to me and they said, well, we opened doors for people and stuff. But what's funny, back then, they thought that Edna was kind of a rabble rouser. I mean, she obviously was a rabble rouser. They wanted to shut her up. I mean, but she could not be put down. She was very articulate. She's got books in there, Frederick Douglass, all these different books.
Sure.
This is just normal for us. So I'm reading all this stuff. We go to Chicago and stuff like that. So I'm just used to Mahalia Jackson. I met Dick Gregory, Mahalia Jackson.
Oh my goodness.
And here, the thing is, I just thought this is normal, okay?
Right.
And we were, and another odd thing, we were Unitarian, and we also were participating in the Quaker Church, the American Friends Service Committee, and so all that kind of made us unique. And I played cello, football, baseball, and stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I grew up. And my family were that's just the way we grew up.
Amazing life and an amazing woman.
family.
Yes, the hottest ticket in town. The hottest ticket in town.
And it may be sold out. If they don't get to, it may be sold out. It could be sold out, right? But we don't know. But anyway,
If
if you
nothing
can
else,
make it, try to make it.
Look at the information.
As I say, if nothing else, learn more about this incredible woman named Edna Griffin.
Come on
And
down,
A
people.
wonderful treat to meet you this
Thank you
morning.
very
so much for being
Thank
here.
you, Wayne
Thank
Ford.
you.
As we're
As
saying,
always.
win for all, because we all need to treat each other equally. You're watching CWI Live here on Channel